That's right, YouTube. This is Swiss Army Dan coming at you with another Swiss Army knife video. And I want to rock right now about Swiss Army knives, man. And you know, the song's true. It takes two to make a thing go right. I gotta be honest, YouTube. Most of my favorite Swiss Army knives ever are two-layer knives. The two-layer knives, you know, they fit in the pocket really well. They got a bunch of utility. And let's be honest, sometimes those third and fourth layers just get silly, don't they? You're like, why am I carrying this? No. Every Swiss Army knife has its own time and place, but let's talk about two layers today. You know, disclaimer, everybody, this is not a comprehensive collection of all two layers. There's all kinds of two layers that are missing from the lineup here, but I tried to, you know, call all the banners that I have as far as two layers and show you guys some variations. I'm gonna start over here with these guys that are off screen, and maybe I can do some shifting here to kind of put them in screen here, maybe a little bit there. And you know, with the 58 millimeter Swiss Army knives, the Victorinox don't have that many Wenger 65 millimeters. I mostly talk about these 58 millimeters. Most of them are like two layers, kind of fall into the two layer. Like even with the classic, like the super small classic SD, it's still considered a two layer because it's got, you know, the full size nail file and blade, right, with a little screwdriver. Even though the scissors only takes up one layer on this side, it's still considered a two layer. It's not a one layer. So anyway, also in that, which is kind of funny, is this big chunky thing. And I'll look at the difference between these two layers as far as 58. This is pretty much just as thick as the light scale on this Midnight Manager here, which is pretty funny, right? Still a two layer. I admit these get bulky if you put a light on there in the scale. If you put a pin on the other side of the scale, it gets bulky. But that's what you get with the Midnight Manager. And now with the Midnight Manager, Manager and Rambler, it's basically all the same tool set. Here's a Rambler, and it doesn't have any of the fancy stuff. It's just got the toothpick and tweezers. But it's a magnetized Phillips with a cap lifter and a wire stripper on there, which is cool. Great little tool there. Your blade, a pair of scissors, right? And they're useful. They're small. They may look dinky, but they get stuff done. I prefer bigger scissors, but you know, if you don't have anything else, these little 58 millimeter scissors definitely work. And then, you know, your nail file with a screwdriver. Scale tools. So that's the Rambler. Then you replace one of these scale tools with a pen, and it turns into a manager. You replace them both with a pen and the light, and then you got the Midnight Manager. So that's those three, and I carry these three a bunch just because I love having that little Phillips on there, that magnetized Phillips. And you know, the ones with a pen probably get more pocket time because I like having a pen. And if I'm carrying A-locks or something, not really a possibility with that. Here is a classic. So it's actually been referred to as a Swiss light. It's just a classic with a light on top of it on the top scale. It's called a Swiss light. Here's the signature. It's just a classic. And on the bottom, you have, on the bottom scale, you have a pin. Here's just a regular old, this is a Stay glow in the dark. Classic, you know, and then the A-Lux Classic, which I already showed. Here's the Bijou, you know, and it's just like a classic. And this is like a regular classic because it doesn't have the screwdriver, because you know the SD makes it a classic SD. So this is the Bijou, and then there's the Bijou SD, which will add you know, the screwdriver at the end of that thing. And here is a Rover, and there's also the Rally, and it's just real simple. It'll have a a Phillips there instead of the flathead. Then there's also the Rogue, which is just like a Rambler, but instead of the Phillips, it's a flathead there. So, bam! I feel like I spent a lot of time talking about those 58s, but we'll get those out of the way. We'll move up next. You know, the only two-layer 74 millimeter I have is the Executive, and I guess it was called maybe the Director when maybe these two were made. If I can find the scissors here, there they are, because they have this old style scissors. This one is Hofritz, and you know they're pre-75. Maybe about around that time is when they started calling it the Executive. Sometime in the early 70s or mid 70s they started calling it the Executive instead of the Director. But here's the Smooth A-Lax in black, and then here's one without scale tools and it's Hofritz, and here's one with scale tools, no key ring, and it's white. Got a couple more, but anyway, kind of weird knives, you know, the 74 millimeter Executive, but they're cool. You know, I was inspired by MacGyver to get one because it was a go-to for him, especially in that first season. So next, for two-layer knives, like, there's all these different variations. It gets a little bit overwhelming. I'm gonna try to bust through them real quick. Okay, so basically you got Spartans and Tinkers. You know, that's kind of how I think about Swiss Army knives. And then you have compacts too, which add scissors and a combo tool instead of your opening layers in a small blade or file. So with Vangers, you know, they have the 85 millimeter. Here is a Commander. This is a Snipe series. It's got this the file here. You know, the Vanger Commander. I think you know what it is. Here's the Highlander. It's exactly like that, except it has a Phillips. So both of these are 85 millimeter. This one has scale tools. This one doesn't. They come both ways. And then here's the Viking, and it's basically like a Spartan, and it's got a clip point blade instead of you know, the regular spear point that you find on Victorinox. 85 millimeter comes with a little keychain, probably a little bit vintage on that one. Next, let's see. Let's jump over here. Let's jump down to these Tinkers. You know, because it's kind of right in line with that Highlander that we just discussed. Here's a regular Tinker. This one has a can key because it's like what would have been the model when I was a kid, and I wanted to find one because I lost the Tinker I had when I was a kid. So this is like the 85 to 91 Tinker here. And then here's a small 84 millimeter Tinker. It's just like this. You know, they stopped putting the can key there after a while, but they did start putting a little place there for a straight pin in the scale, which is cool. And then here is like a Tinker back in the day. They had a file on this screwdriver, and the blade was clip point instead of spear point. So there's some Tinkers, just a little quick history. I did the kind of the same thing with Spartans here. Here's like a green Spartan. It's basically what you'll find right now. It's just a Spartan, and you know, its smaller counterpart is the Tourist, and this is one I EDC. Just a great little Tourist, you know. I don't know what else I have to say. I think you know all the tools on this. You know the openers, the blades, corkscrew, and reamer punch, scale tools, right? Same thing with the Taurus, just smaller. And then here's a back in the day kind of Taurus when it has that clip point blade, and you know, they usually didn't come with scale tools from what I have seen. I'm not saying that they don't, but anyway, so next, right in line with those, and this kind of refers back to my Holy Trinity video. I don't think I had an 84 millimeter golfer when I made that video, but here's the modern day compact. Just want to EDC. It's a black one, and instead of those the opening layers, you know, you get a combo tool and scissors. And a lot of people love the compact. A lot of people hate it. You don't get a reamer on here. You know, you get a hook with a file, which some people love and some people hate. Before that, there was the golfer. It's exactly like that compact, except it just doesn't have that file / hook right there, you know? And then this 84 millimeter counterpart, it's 84 millimeter golfer. They didn't come with scale tools on the back, so these 84 millimeters didn't come with a pin there, and they didn't come with a little hole there. because these 84 millimeter scissors were discontinued sometime in the mid 80s because the machine broke, which is a funny story. Here's some more 84 millimeters real quick. Here's the Cadet. Big fan base on this Cadet. A lot of people love it. It's super thin. I think it's about, no, it's maybe a millimeter thicker than a classic. I bet it's thinner than this Midnight Manager. Yes, for sure. How about a Rambler? It's about the same size as a Rambler. Maybe the Rambler's even a little bit thicker. But anyway, the Cadet is super thin. It's a great carry. It's a workhorse. It's a great knife. You get the same tools with a Sportsman, plus scale tools and your back layer tools. Here's the difference in width on those. But you know, these Sportsmans are great. I like this one. It's got these blue nylon scales on it. Great knife, right? And then here's the Recruit, which is basically, I don't know, it's basically, you know, a Spartan or Tinker with no back layer tools. And the Recruit just has the opening layer, can opener, bottle opener with the screwdrivers, then a blade and a small blade, not a file here. So there's not really a Silidor counterpart to the Cadet. You know, closest you get is a Sportsman there. And here is a 108 millimeter. I don't have any 111s, so I'm sorry if you guys are disappointed. I don't have any 2 later 111. Just not into 111s that much. I got the one I want, and it's a rucksack. It's like, man, if I'm going to go out in the woods, I'm going to take that rucksack with no regrets, right? Anyway, here's this Trooper, and it's awesome. It's 108 millimeters. It's a lot like the GAC, the German Army knife. It would have an eagle right here if it was a German Army knife. This is just the Victorinox kind of civilian version of that called the Trooper, and it's sweet. It's got a hobo saw. I'm not even going to take this off, but there's a saw under there. It works fine. There's a little combo tool at the end of this. No wire stripper. So next, I think I've probably talked enough about all these, but I'm just going to kind of show you the variations of. This is like one of my favorite, you know, tool combinations that the Victorinox has. You know, probably the compact and the Spartan and these are just like, yep, just give me all those, I'll take those, and maybe the Climber too. I'll take all those and just run. But anyway, this is like the Soldier. I'm going to show you a quick evolution of the Soldier. Here's like a 54, this old, it's 93 millimeter. Before it was 100 millimeter, maybe? I'm not sure. Someone's going to correct me on that. They started off with red, then they went to silver, and then they started looking like this, you know, different stamps. And then they ended up kind of looking like this, right? And then here's the Dutch version of that. And here's like the old Pioneer, which was all based off of this one. And here's a newer Pioneer. And I'll show you the tool set on here and compare it to 91 millimeter real quick. Blades, right? I think it's basically the same can opener these days. Yep, same can opener. You get a little bit bigger screwdriver with the 93 millimeter. I mean, a little bit bigger cap lifter. You see there. And, you know, you get the small blade on the 91 millimeters usually. Well, yeah, always, pretty much. And the awl on these kind of standard 93 millimeters. There's also all kinds of variations. You know, you can get printing blades and electrician's blades and all kinds of different stuff, different tool variations. Like I said, this is not a comprehensive collection of all the 2-layer Swiss Army knives you can get, but hey, I figured I'd do a 2-layer video. There's a request for it, and you know what? I appreciate you guys sticking in there and watching the whole time. I appreciate it. I want to remind you just to be kind to each other in your daily lives. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm Swiss Army Dan, and I'm out of here.